Gobble gobble, my wizards, what's up? It's Dev from SBMTG, and it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all of you guys. And I'm thankful for Igby. You're such a cute little man. Look at you. Oh my goodness, you're precious. Anyway, today we got a deck for you that's going to make our opponents thankful for what they have. Today, we're going to be showing you 5-color Thief. We're also going to be really thankful towards our opponents for giving us their stuff. That's really nice of them. Let's show you what we're doing. And I said last time, by the way, that we had done a deck similar to this like a year ago at this point. And that was the 4-color, 5-color Wanderer Thief deck from a while back. But this is a completely different format. And we've got even more stuff that allows us to steal their cards. So let's take a look. Let's start with the 7 different cards in this deck that allow us to steal stuff from our opponent. Here are our Thieves right here. 2 copies of Exert Influence, 3 copies of Confiscation Coup, and 2 copies of Shrewd Negotiation. Exert Influence is just awesome. One of the reasons to make this deck produce all 5 colors worth of mana. And we've got a couple other Converge cards in the deck. We'll get to those in a second. But Exert Influence is just a very solid piece that allows us to steal stuff. Confiscation Coup is probably the best of these 3, and that's why it's a 3 of and not just a 2 of. We are playing some other stuff in the deck that generates energy. Works very well with Coup, and Coup can just nab almost anything just naturally, even without other energy pumped into it. It can nab a bunch of stuff in this format. And the 2 copies of Shrewd Negotiation are just pure fun. We've got a lot of fun ways to abuse the card where we can give them something of no real consequence and get the best thing on their side of the board, And I like that it can pick up artifacts, surprisingly relevant in this format. We can pick up Smuggler's Copters that aren't turned on and other vehicles. We can pick up an Aetherworks Marvel in this deck, and we have a lot of ways to generate energy, so that's pretty cool too. So Shrewd Negotiation I like. Now with these Converge cards in the deck, we want to be able to create all 5 colors of mana, and if you'll notice, all of those Thieves cost 5 mana, so we want to ramp a little bit too. Good news is we've got plenty of cards that do that, and sort of premium cards too right now in the format that a lot of people are playing in a lot of different decks. Let's check them out. We're going to play 4 copies of Servant of the Conduit, 3 copies of Cultivator's Caravan, and 4 copies of Prophetic Prism. Now, Prophetic Prism doesn't ramp us necessarily, but it will fix our mana in this 5-color deck. That's cool. It'll draw us a card, and we can give it to them with Shrewd Negotiation, because at that point, we probably don't care as much. We've already drawn the card off of it. We've had a few turns of fixing, have our Prophetic Prism. We don't really care. We'll just take the best thing on your side of the board, whatever. Cultivator's Caravan can be crewed by a couple of different things in the deck. We can steal a creature to crew it. We can crew it with Tireless Tracker, so but mostly it's in there as mana fixing that we don't have to have colored mana to cast in the first place. So that's really good, and it's ramp too. Servant of the Conduit, though, is awesome in a couple of different ways. It's just early ramp that allows us to do something really cool on turn 3 that I'll get to here in a second. But when we run out of energy, let's just say, then we can always trade if we have nothing else good to trade. We can trade then the Servant of the Conduit for the best thing on their side of the board with a Shrewd Negotiation, and hopefully they don't have any energy. So, in a pinch, Servant of the Conduit is a good thing to trade with a Shrewd Negotiation when you don't have any energy left. And to take advantage of all those things that fix and ramp our mana, we're going to play some more Converge cards, starting with one of my favorites, 4 copies of Woodland Wanderer, who is still here. He is still here in this format. On turn 3, if we play a Servant of the Conduit on turn 2, then it's possible to get a 6/6 Woodland Wanderer with a couple of abilities. So that is ridiculous initiative, and it's above Harness Lightning and Grasp of Darkness, which are 2 of the most played removal spells in the format. So it's relevant in that way too. Just, even on like turn 4, a 6/6 Wanderer is a really good play that goes above almost everything else in the format right now, and is immune to a lot of the best removal. No exaggeration. This will win you the game sometimes. Fantastic freaking creature that just blows through a lot of the stuff in the low end of the curve on turn 3 or 4. Just no questions asked. The card is good. And the other Converge card we're going to play just at a 2 of is Radiant Flames here. And yeah, this does have the ability to say kill our own Servant of the Conduit, but whatever. Against decks that are super fast, they play the Reckless Bushwhackers and like 16 1-drops, this can just completely destroy them, and that's what we're looking for, because those decks will destroy us. We're trying to get set up a little bit in the early turns in the game, and then play something really cool, whether we're stealing one of their things or a huge Woodland Wanderer on, turn 4, let's say. But without all that setup, means that we're going to get hit in the early game against super aggressive decks. So we got to pack Radiant Flames to sort of be able to get out of that situation if it happens. But we're also going to play some energy producers right here. We're going to play some removal that doesn't just steal things. We're going to play 4 copies of Harness Harness Lightning right here. Harness Lightning, just a premium removal spell. Kills Smuggler's Copter, instant speed, produces energy, all that. Will kill Veteran Motorist, Toolcraft Exemplar, and a couple of other small creatures and leave energy behind. That can be really, really relevant. So play Harness Lightning if you've got red mana in your deck. You should do that. And the other energy producing card that we're playing is Glimmer of Genius, which we're going to play a 4 of in the deck. Not just for the energy, but also because Scry 2 Draw 2 is just insane. You know, if you're digging for a way to steal one of their creatures, maybe you're digging for your big old Woodland Wanderer or something, you know, or you can just blast through pockets of stuff you don't need, you know. So Glimmer of Genius is just good for all of the reasons. You know, card advantage is awesome, instant speed is awesome, and we need the energy in this deck, because getting 6 energy for a Confiscation Coup basically means that we can steal anything next to like Emrakul that people are playing right now. So definitely Glimmer, so good. And to finish off the main deck, we're going to play 3 copies of Tireless Tracker here. Tireless Tracker is just awesome, you know, it's a solid creature, and we kind of need a couple more creatures. There's reasons for that, you know. I'd like to just have something else to put on board that can attack. That's important, that we don't have to steal. You know, this creates clue tokens and gets bigger, you know, as we pop them. That's good. Drawing cards is awesome. Creates a clue that we can then trade with Shrewd Negotiation. Tireless Tracker can crew Cultivator's Caravan. It's just like, what was that, 5, 6 reasons in a row to play Tireless Tracker, other than it's just one of the best creatures in the format, so play it. There's 25 lands in this deck, and originally the lands were the most expensive things, but I took out the Spire Bluff Canals and just did Highland Lakes instead. And that was a huge difference right there. So, you know, I think that this mana base is a boot right. We're playing Evolving Wilds, which is not only good for Tireless Tracker, but also so we can get a random, you know, swamp or plains so that we can facilitate Converge a little bit. So there's that going for you. Plus Aether Hub. Aether Hub can produce any color as long as we have the energy for it, so that helps too. But one more thing on the mana base, it might look slightly shaky, but do remember that we're playing 11 main deck cards that can fix our mana and give us whatever mana we want. So that takes a lot of pressure off of this base. Here's the sideboard right here, a couple of interesting things. There's Deadlock Trap. That is against Planeswalkers and Control specifically. Now, you know, we're producing all this energy mostly for Confiscation Coup as our end game here, but that's not going to really matter as much against Control, but tapping down their Planeswalkers might matter a lot more, so Deadlock Trap is a decent card out of the board. Sphinx of the Final Word, also against Control. Note that we are fairly bad against Control because a lot of our cards are dead game 1, so we'll side in the Sphinx of the Final Word. We'll also side in Summary Dismissal against Greenback Delirium, and also some Control decks as well. Galvanic Bombardment, that's the other direction, that's against aggro. Dispel, also against the Control decks. You can tell we're trying really hard to be better against Control in games 2 and 3. And then Radiant Flames is obviously also in there against the hardline aggro decks. Here are your power rankings right here. Final score of 60, which is basically like $1 a point. You know, this deck is about 60 bucks on TCG Player. And if you up the mana base, it could get up to like $100. But this is a fine mana base right here, especially, again, considering we got so many things that fix our mana in the main deck. So you'll be fine with this. Or at least I have been. And it's a really fun deck to play, you guys. Like, I know there's other stuff you can play in here too, man. You can play Threaten Effects and even Eldrazi Obligator if you wanted to do that. But this is a pretty simple package right here, and we're playing a lot of really effective cards. I feel like these Thieves are all really good. Like, Exert Influence is still a fantastic card. And Confiscation Coup is just so good all the time, especially after a Glimmer of Genius, like on curve. That is really good. So I like all these Thieves, and opponents will not be expecting this in any way, guaranteed. We've also got the Woodland Wanderers in there to help finish the game. It's just a huge guy. They have to answer or die. Same thing with Tireless Tracker. You know, the game goes on. We get a huge tracker, draw a bunch of cards. That can always be good. We've got a few different paths to victory and a bunch of solid cards in the deck. And one thing that's really good is that, you know, we suffer against Planeswalkers in game 1, but decks that play Planeswalkers and then creatures to back them up, a lot of decks, you know, mid-range decks, we can steal their creatures and attack their Planeswalkers with their own guys. That can be really, really relevant. So there's a lot of like really neat stuff about this deck. It's not like anything that you're going to see in the format right now, but I promise it does do a lot of work. You know, steal guys incrementally, put out your Woodland Wanderer, make them have to answer that, you know, and then just, you know, remove and steal guys as you see fit. It's a pretty straightforward thing, actually, but it can do a bunch of work, especially against aggro and mid-range. For now, I'm tapped out. That was a quick Thanksgiving deck tech right there. But there's a couple of things on the horizon I want to talk about. Next deck that I'm going to do is Another thing that I don't necessarily want to talk too much about right now, but it's going to be a deck based around infinite combos, plural. So just get ready for that. That's going to be a fun one. Finishing up right now, but I really want to give that deck to you soon. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that a bunch of people in the Q&A comments section, you noticed that I didn't mention, in the part where I talk about other formats, I didn't mention Frontier or Pauper. Frontier actually is something I'm really interested in, and Pauper I love with all my heart and soul. So I will try in the next month or so here, I think before the end of the year maybe, to put out a deck tech in both formats. I have not done anything for the Frontier format ever. It's basically from Khans of Tarkir and up, and it'll always be that. It's in another eternal format. But anything from Khans of Tarkir and up, if I'm not mistaken, is how you play Frontier. So look for deck techs in both of those formats really soon here. And by the way, you can always leave suggestions for decks that you might want to see in both of those formats here in the comments section. I'll look over those. But that's not quite all for now. I've added a couple of more songs to the SoundCloud. There's a link to that in the description, like this song right here. That song that a lot of people ask about, that is now on SoundCloud, as well as a couple of other things. So go check out the SoundCloud, and I will see you guys later. If you enjoyed the content, hit the like button. That helps more than anything else you could do. You could sub. That would also help a great deal. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Igby's still down here. He's just slid all the way down my leg if you want to say bye to the people, Igby. We love you, and I'll see you guys later. I'm Deb from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.